Hello, everyone. It is Thursday, October 1st. Welcome back to 3 News Now. I'm Stephanie Haney. Yes, we are in October. We are in a brand new month. We're in the tail end of 2020, if you can even believe it. Thanks for being here for the top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. I really appreciate you choosing to start your afternoon here with 3 News Now. We are starting off with a real heartbreaker story. If you were up late last night, you may have seen the fact that the Tribe is officially out of the playoffs with a real heartbreaking loss to the New York Yankees last night here at Progressive Field. And it was a real marathon of a game with a few delays. Not only was there a delay in getting the game started, waiting even an hour to start the game on a rain delay when there wasn't quite even any rain yet. But then there was a second delay because the rain did start in the bottom of the first inning. There was a delay for another 30 minutes. Now, just to make it perfectly clear here, before the game starts during the playoffs, it's up to Major League Baseball if there's going to be a delay, not up to our local weather team here. Our chief meteorologist, Betsy Kling, had nothing to do with that call. She tweeted out that she was expecting the rain at about 7:50 p.m., and that's pretty much what happened. And then once the game starts, it's actually up to the umpire if there's going to be a delay in the game. So the umpire did make that call. The game was delayed for another 30 minutes, which is a very big deal when it comes to managing the starting pitchers and all of that baseball management strategy. Well, they got going again. The Tribe was up to an early lead. Early in the game, they were up by 4 runs, but then that changed. So fast forward to the last 2 innings of the game, the 8th and the 9th. This is actually when I started watching the game because that's when I realized that I actually could watch it on my streaming service. So it's good to know these things in advance. It's not going to do me much good moving forward, but now I know that. So after all that drama, we go to the 8th and the 9th inning. The Tribe was up. They were up. But then the Yankees came back out in the top of the 9th with the bases loaded. Yankees' Gary Sanchez hit a sacrifice fly to let the tying run score. And then with 2 out, DJ LeMahieu singled a hit, one right up through the middle, and gave the Yankees that 10-9 lead. And the Tribe could not answer back in the bottom of the 9th. Unfortunately, a very tough loss after a marathon game. And the Yankees will now go on to the American League Division Series. And 2020 Major League Baseball is over here in Cleveland with a lot of questions for what it's going to look like when we do see the Tribe again in spring training in 2021. One big question, what will the team be called? It's very possible that between now and then we will see the new name announced for Cleveland baseball. Now, they haven't said that they're officially going to change the name, but all signs seem to be pointing to that. Also, big question marks on who will actually be on the roster. So something we'll be looking at that'll give people a lot to talk about in the coming days and leading up to spring training happening in 2021. So as you know, at no Major League Baseball games in this shortened season and now in the playoffs that we've seen up to this point so far, there have been no fans allowed in the stadiums. Well, apparently that wait got to be too much for 2 fans at Progressive Field last night because ESPN showed 2 people being arrested for trespassing during the playoffs last night. This was in the bottom of the 5th inning with the Tribe's Josh Naylor at bat, so the camera cut to show 2 men handcuffed, being escorted out of Progressive Field by police officers. One of them was wearing a gray Cleveland jersey. The Tribe said that the 2 men hopped the gate at Progressive Field but were immediately removed and arrested for trespassing. Got to be a little too much for them. There was one guy that we saw with photos on social media camped out outside, even in the rain, camped out outside the gate, just taking in what he could take in from as close as he was legally allowed to get, so he was following the laws. Now, let's take a little trip back in time to just very quickly, I promise you, the first presidential debate that happened here in Cleveland on Tuesday. That's because R.J. Crawford had a conversation with some college students. He talked with Case Western Reserve University students to get their thoughts on that first presidential debate. Now, yesterday on What's New, Jay shared that he was very disappointed in the display, as were so many people. That was a large part of the conversation on social media. Very disappointed at the lack of decorum, the fact that there was so much interrupting of the moderator, Chris Wallace, and just not a lot of policy discussion and constructive conversation happening at that first presidential debate, leaving a lot of people really frustrated. Well, that included these Case Western Reserve University students. So Jay talked with the College Republicans president and a member of the College Republicans, and also the College Democrats president and a member of the College Democrats. And largely, they agreed that they were not pleased with what they saw at the debate. There was a lot of agreement on the fact that there was not a good job done at getting points across when it comes to what the actual policies were that President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden are presenting as options to the American public for the election that is coming up in less than 5 weeks on November 3rd. And it seemed that everyone agreed on that. So that full conversation is up on WKYC.com and our WKYC app. And I will tell you this about the conversation. Jay said yesterday on What's New that after having that conversation with those students, he has renewed hope that the youth are our future. And in his opinion, we can't get to the youth soon enough. Now, here in Cleveland, it is the end of an era for the 100th Bomb Group restaurant. It will be permanently closing due to COVID-19. The restaurant has been in business for more than 35 years. They have now issued a statement saying due to the pandemic and declining demand for dining and special event venues, the property will be sold at an auction at the end of October. Now, it will be sold at the end of October, but events that are scheduled through December 30th will be honored, but the dining room will stay closed through the rest of the year. The president and CEO of Specialty Restaurants Corporation said that they are deeply saddened that the 100th Bomb Group will be taking its last flight this year. If you're not familiar with it, it's located near Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. It has views of the runways, and it's filled with wall-to-wall World War II memorabilia. The group said they looked at every possible way that they could to keep the restaurant open, but it's just not possible. So that auction will be taking place at the end of the month. That's a sad moment for a lot of people here in Northeast Ohio. We'd love to hear your memories if you have any special memories from events or special moments that you had at the 100th Bomb Group restaurant here in Cleveland, which again will be closing its doors at the end of the year. Now, as that closes, there is something that is reopening. So we're going to take a turn and talk about a positive thing here for people in downtown Cleveland. A lot of people in downtown Cleveland have been struggling because there's not a lot of options for grocery shopping in downtown Cleveland. The Heinens in downtown Cleveland is a major asset for people that live downtown. Well, it is finally reopening. That is happening next week. It is less than a week away. So Heinen's in downtown will be reopening on Wednesday, October 7th. This family-owned grocery store had to close on May 30th. It was damaged during the protests that happened in downtown Cleveland after the police killing of George Floyd. The general manager said that they would like to thank the customers for the patience as they repaired the damage that occurred at the end of May and thought about solutions to address operating challenges when it comes to COVID-19. So in addition to the damage that needed to be replaced, also trying to figure out how to put things in place that would make it safe for people to come into Heinen's and reduce the risk of exposure and spread when it comes to COVID-19. The grocery store first opened in 2015, and it will have the same hours that it's always had. The hours will be 8 to 8 Monday through Friday and 8 to 7 on Saturday and Sunday. But for several reasons, co-owner Jeff Heinen said that the Rotunda space will not be reopening at this time, but the grocery store will be open. And of course, there will be COVID-19 protocols in place. The store will be limited to 40 customers at a time, and masks are required. Of course, that's required under the Ohio Department of Health's public order anyway, but Heinen's is saying its personal policy also is that masks are required when you enter. And there will only be one entrance. That will be on Euclid Avenue. Now, if you are into the stars and the sky, if you're a stargazer, there are some really cool events happening this month in October. We're going to break them down for you right now. There are four big events happening. First is Mars opposition. So on October 13th, Mars will be shining very brightly in the sky, really throughout all of October, but predominantly on October 13th. This is because Mars will reach opposition. Now, what this means is Mars will be at the point in its orbit where it is opposite of the sun from the perspective that we have here on Earth. And it's also around the time that it will be closest to Earth. So it will look brighter than at any other point of the year. That's happening on October 13th. So first, it will appear in the east around sunset, then it will climb high in the southern sky by midnight, and then it'll gradually swing into the western sky in the hours before sunrise. So that is on the night of October 13th going into the 14th. So be on the lookout for that. Now this next one, I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong. The Orionid meteor shower, that's happening October 20th into the 21st. This is the best meteor shower of the season, one of the best of the season. It's going to peak on the night of Tuesday, October 20th, go into the early hours of Wednesday, October 21st. So there will be about 20 meteors per hour on the peak night on the 20th, and most of those meteors are expected after midnight. Now, this is the last meteor shower in the northern hemisphere before it starts to get colder. The next meteor showers that we can expect will be in November, December, and January. Those next ones in November 16th into 17th, and in December 13th into the 14th. And here's a cool one. We're having a blue moon on Halloween this year. This will be the first time since 2001 that there will be a full moon on the night of Halloween. This will be the second full moon of the month, which is why it's called a blue moon. The first full moon is actually tonight, October 1st. It's called the harvest moon. We call it that because it's the full moon closest to the autumnal equinox. Now, the blue moon will not actually appear blue, so you might be wondering, why do we call it that? I mentioned it's the second full moon of the month. Anytime there are two full moons in the month, the second one is called the blue moon. And this dates back to the early 1900s, where it was just used to describe a full moon anytime there were 4 full moons in one season. It just means that it's rare, and that's where we get that phrase that something happens every once in a blue moon. That dates back to the 1900s, and that's just what they decided to call it when there was an extra blue moon in a season. One more thing to let you know here before you go. In our trending stories segment today, and on our broadcast and online, we want to share your photos of fall foliage and fall decor. So you can help us out by sending us those pictures, as we are now well into fall. We're over a week into fall now. You can text them to us at 216-344-3300. Again, that's 216-344-3300, or another very easy way to send them in through the WKYC app. If you scroll down, you'll see an orange bar that says we want to see your fall photos. So your fall foliage, your fall decor, you taking a sip of your first pumpkin spice latte, whatever it is, however you are enjoying fall, that's what we want to see from you. We would love it if you would send in those photos, send in those videos. If you use the app, you can send in a video. If you text it in, just send a photo, because that gets a little funky when it comes to the video there. And we would love if you would send that in. And if you are listening to this on our 3 News Now brand new podcast, which you can find on your favorite podcast provider platform by searching 3 News Now with Stephanie Haney, this is a great time to remind you to please subscribe so you get the notification when the new episodes come out twice a day, Monday through Friday. And also rate and review the podcast, because we want to know what you're thinking. And going back to those fall photos, make sure you tell us your name and where you're from, and anything else you want us to know about the photo or the video, so that we can include that when we use it on TV, online, on our social media platforms, wherever it is, and give you the credit for your photos and your videos. That's it for your 3 News Now early update for Thursday, October 1st. I will be back here this afternoon as soon as we get those numbers from the Ohio Department of Health, and bringing you the rest of the top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your first October 2020 afternoon, and I will see you back here in just a little bit. I'm Stephanie Haney.